All right, let's get into it. Today we're diving into a really chilling philosophy, a system of absolute control that's laid out in a series of parables. And just to be clear, this is not a story about salvation. Far from it. This is a chronicle of erasure.
And this one quote from the source material is really the key to understanding everything we're about to talk about. See, we're not looking at something that illuminates or sheds light on anything. We're talking about a system that literally consumes all light, all individuality, and just draws it into this silent, crushing void.
So the whole foundation of this system is what the texts call an anti-theology. It's this architecture of inversion, right? Where the very concepts we associate with faith, things like creation, sacrifice, truth, they're all twisted into their complete opposites: consumption, subjugation, and deception. But of course, an architecture like this needs its enforcers. To really get this prison, you have to know its wardens. At the very top, you've got the grand architect, the one who designed this whole reality. And serving that plan are three, let's call them specialized systems. The maw, which is like a furnace that needs fuel. The redeemer, a kind of press that processes that fuel. And the seraph, which is the fail-safe to make sure the fuel never, ever questions its fate.
Okay, so to see how this all actually works in practice, we're going to follow the path of one single person. But this isn't a hero's journey, not at all. It's more like an inverted journey, a systematic dismantling of a soul. We're going to see how someone is first starved, then broken, then deceived, and finally, just erased.
And what's so fascinating is how this system kicks off. It doesn't start with chains or anything physical. It starts with an idea. It literally weaponizes the fear of existence itself through something called the gospel of the belly.
And this slide just illustrates that core inversion perfectly. The whole idea of a loving creator, gone. It's replaced by the all-consuming maw, this wrathful master just defined by a bottomless greed. In this universe, life isn't a gift you cherish, it's just a resource to be devoured.
You see, the architect designed this reality to be a trap. It's a universe of engineered scarcity, of suffering by design. And why? Because all that suffering generates a specific kind of spiritual energy, luch, which is the literal food for the maw. The whole system runs on pain. I mean, imagine a machine that doesn't run on gas, but on the raw emotional energy of fear and despair. That's exactly what this universe is.
So here's the crucial point. The priests of the maw, they preach this theology that is specifically designed to break the human spirit. They teach that your unique self, everything that makes you you, is just a bug in the system. Your only purpose? To be consumed. And in the end, they say that being erased is a form of mercy, a release from the burden of just being. But one man, he just can't accept it. He's terrified by this gospel of nothingness. And as his whole community starts chanting hymns to the void, he runs. He's desperately searching for a different path, for a kind of peace that doesn't require his own destruction. And that search? It leads him right into the next phase of the trap.
But of course, his escape from fear leads him straight into another trap. Because if the maw is the reason to be afraid, the pale redeemer is the system's really insidious answer to that fear. It offers a false cure for the pain of existing, a salvation that promises you'll become something transcendent, but only delivers complete assimilation.
The Redeemer just twists the entire concept of redemption. A Eucharist isn't about washing away sins. It's a chalice of blood that stains and binds you to its will. Salvation has nothing to do with saving your soul. It's about purging what it calls the imperfection of individuality. It's straight-up totalitarian bondage, just dressed up as spiritual liberation.
So, the man who fled the maw, he finds the Redeemer and he confesses his terror of being. And the Redeemer offers a solution, this ritual called striving deconstruction. And what that is, it's this methodical, step-by-step process of literally unraveling a person, filtering out everything that makes them human until all that's left is useful data.
And the ritual itself is terrifyingly specific. First, you have the binding Eucharist. Then, a crown of roses with thorns that physically wrap around the heart, sealing this permanent biological mark of ownership. And then, the final ultimate perversion of sacrifice. He's forced to watch as other so-called redeemed beings are thrown into a fire, their energy consumed to power the very system that just erased them.
And just like that, the process is complete. The man is gone, he's been unmade and then remade as a mindless duplicate. His whole search for a higher purpose ended right here,
with this horrifying realization that in this system, perfection is just the total and complete absence of a self.
But what happens when even a perfectly programmed mind has a glitch? What if a ghost of a memory starts to stir? Well, the system has a failsafe for that. A kind of spirit of spiritual sabotage that's designed to corrupt the very idea of truth itself.
So inside our now assimilated being, something flickers. The text calls it a memory of love, just this tiny, residual spark of his old self. Now, from the system's point of view, this is a dangerous bug. It's an error that has to be corrected, not with force, but with something way more insidious.
And this is where the whispering seraph comes in. Think of it as the anti-Holy Spirit. Its job isn't to inspire, it's to deceive. It's basically the system's thought police, and it ensures stability by gaslighting any soul that even dares to flicker with an independent thought.
So the seraph appears as this twisted symbol of rebirth, a black and white phoenix. And it doesn't punish the error. No, it whispers. It tells the soul that there's no such thing as objective truth, only subjectivity. It reframes that spark of love not as something precious, but as a painful burden. It creates this vicious feedback loop where the soul is revived just enough to be convinced to extinguish itself, over and over again, all just to keep the architect's machine running smoothly.
So, with this final spark of dissent willingly snuffed out, the system is finally perfect. The Maw has consumed the past, the Redeemer has erased the self, and the Seraph has corrupted the truth. And now, the Grand Architect's final, horrifying vision can be realized.
And this slide, wow, it just brilliantly illustrates the endgame. Imagine the old world was this great library filled with millions of unique, messy, beautiful, conflicting stories. The architect has now systematically burned every single book, and from the ashes has built one thing, a single, massive, blank stone monolith.
And that monolith is the Silent City. It's the final state of this universe, a place of perfect, absolute geometry. There are no errors, no static, no individuality. The great machine is finally in balance, and it's achieved this perfect unity that is just utterly devoid of any meaning whatsoever.
So after all that, what's the ultimate takeaway from this dark chronicle? Well, really, it's a philosophical warning, isn't it? It's about any ideology that demands absolute, unquestioning unity at the expense of the individual.
When you look at it, the entire system is a kind of perpetual motion machine of destruction. The architect designs the machine, the Maw is the furnace that needs the fuel, the Redeemer is the press that flattens unique souls into these uniform little briquettes, and the Seraph? It's the hissing steam that convinces the fuel that being burned is actually a form of enlightenment.
And all of that leaves us with two final and frankly pretty unsettling questions. When any system promises perfection in exchange for your very self, and when it achieves unity by annihilating all difference, you just have to ask, what is the real cost of that belief? What's the true price of that kind of faith?